Okay, so we're back, and this is Brennan with some watch-along drawing, not necessarily tutorial, and apologies for the sound problems I'm having. I will try to work on them this week. What I'm doing here is setting up a little perspective at first, get comfortable with my tools here. Best thing to do is see if you can draw anything. It's always nice. Yeah. Okay, so the opacity is down a little bit for this perspective layer. Get down to 5 points with a different brush. Actually, if I use this brush and go to this thing never listens, back to 10, I think that should be, no, it's actually too big. Okay, so go down to whatever, not 1, up to 5. Yeah, good enough. This is actually kind of big. So for the perspective layer, like I was doing in the last video, you can use this thing, guideline, and with the brush just do something like a couple lines. Need a shift key. See, now it's too light all of a sudden. It's like, you know, they're just torturing me here. What can I do to fix this situation? I have, now it's too light, maybe, yeah, just bring the opacity up a bit. Okay, good enough. And if I have, what I'm doing here is, well, that's way off. I want to get like from here to there to here, okay, and from here to there to here, right? So I have kind of a butterfly thing going on there. And what I'm trying to do here is just see with perspective, one thing we know is that as things get further away, they get smaller, and also the space between things can seem shorter. So from this line to that line, let's pretend these are telephone poles, just very roughly. Not only this one's a little thicker than that one, but just kind of using your eye, I mean, there's really not too much science to this. There's only as much as you can, you got to use your eyeball sometimes. So you can see this one's further away, and the next one will also seem like it's a little closer. In fact, is that the right line? Go to this one, to that one. Close enough. Yeah, we'll use this line as a guideline. And so, as I get further away, and you should just, I think most people have a natural feeling. See, like that one, I made it way too thick. They should be getting a little bit smaller as I go away, and they should seem to be closer and closer to each other, just like this. This is like perspective 101, and I can even bring the opacity up on that a little so you get a better look at it. Move this out of the way. So you can imagine if this were telephone poles here, then as they go off into the distance, they seem to be further and further away. That might be hard to tell because I'm not doing the whole finished drawing now, but there's plenty enough videos on that type of phenomenon right now. So the reason I want to do this, and why am I drawing telephone poles when we're going to draw a face, is because when you go to draw eyes, sometimes you do, even when you're drawing a face, you still have to consider things like perspective. So let's say we had a face. You can start off a face with sort of a box shape. So if this were to be a box here, and that's your perspective point over there. Okay, so this will go here, and then this one hits that line, that one has that line. So now you have kind of a box, right? Get rid of the lines we don't like or don't need to make it look a little bit more like a box. Just trying to help you to see what I'm doing here. And you know what? I'm going to stick with the hard edge brush because I get tired of that fluffy stuff. Okay, so there's like a box, a see-through box, a glass box, and within that box you can draw a head. Get back down to regular size. So let's just say there's a head here inside the box, and the back of his head, where would it touch? Would it touch over here? No, it would be touching about in the middle of the box, and a little bit of it would come back over. Same with his forehead. Forehead should be touching like the middle of the box, and then you could have his nose come outside of the box, Of course, we all know that eye should be in the middle of the head, whereas a lot of people tend to draw them like up in the middle of the forehead. That's not right. And the lips should be coming in somewhere around here. I tend to have a problem with getting the lips in the right spot with the chin and stuff sometimes. It's not my forte. But we always remember that the top of the ears, just imagine if people have glasses. What happens when I have glasses? If you have glasses on, then a stick comes back here and it goes over the ear, right? So basically that's a quick and easy way to remember that the top of the ear, or at least the part where the glasses go into, should be right about the same spot as the eye. And you get a little bit of a peanut shape there. And we do this. Okay. So the point I was trying to make here, with perspective, you should also be able to see the other eye kind of popping out over here just a little bit. And a little bit of the cheek could even possibly be popping out. And this eye, whereas if we draw an eye from the front, this eye right here might look like wide like this and have the little thing in there. But when you're looking at it from the side, you're going to get more of a side view, like this. And the eye, the roundness of the eye might be coming out a bit. Reason for that is if you're looking at a piece of paper, straight on it looks like this. But if you look at it from the side, it'll look like that, right? It'll have the writing on the paper, would have lines that correspond with that, just like this. So same phenomenon is going to happen with everything in life. I don't think there are any things that don't have perspective to them, and you have to think about that when you're drawing. Same with the eyelash here. If you're doing the is that eyebrow? Sorry, eyebrow. If you're doing it from the front view, it'll be long like this, covering the top of the eye. But from the side, it'll be shorter and be just also again use the eye as a guideline. It'll be just as long. Of course, the nostril has to come back, things like this. Okay, so that was good for a little bit of a side view of the eye, and also you can see the perspective comes down from here, up from there. Also, the eye, if this eye is this big here, coming down from here, and maybe just remember where that point was. This one, that point's there, point's here. They both meet at about this point. So the eye should actually be coming down a little bit like this. And then the other eye should be right here. So I actually made this a little too big. Yeah. That'd be a little bit more realistic. Have it come down. Should definitely be going on a downward angle. Bottom of this eye and the bottom of that eye. Right. And then you could, well, I could zoom in, do all kinds of stuff there, but I'm not going to do that. And what I'm going to do is just delete this. Just go back to the details of an eye from a front view. We all know you have the football shape. Should be a little round. Some different eyes have different features. A lot of Western eyes, for example, might be like this, where they have over here, it kind of drips down a little bit, and the same phenomenon will happen up here. Whereas if we have more Asian eyes, they might have more of a angelic, higher, cheekbone to them. And I'm not, pretending to know exactly how to draw Asian eyes. I'm just saying there's different types of eyes out there. So this one is more of my kind of eye. I have big eyes. We have these details a lot of people don't pay attention to. You don't ever want to draw eyelashes like this, and you also don't really want to draw them like this. None of these are really healthy for the look of an eye. But the funny thing is, if you look from the side, this is actually an eyelid. It's actually a thing, People don't walk around with ovals that God drew for them like that. What they have is an actual eyelid. It's a physical thing. Eyelid comes down. Here's the actual ball of the eye. So from a side view, it's kind of, this is exaggerated a little bit, but this is kind of what an eye looks like from a side view, right? And what's happening with these, when the eyelashes come out, they're coming out right out of here. They're actually there for a reason. You can bat your eyelashes, and it'll, protect your eyes from things getting in there. So if you look at it from the side view, and sometimes they droop down a little bit like this, right? They come down and they curl up. So if you're looking at that from the front view, shouldn't it also droop down here a little bit? Right. So what you're going to do is not just meet that line right there. I should actually clean this up a little, but actually cross the line a little bit. And I'll make this more detailed. And so you can actually get away with drawing eyelashes like this when you're zoomed up close. And then on the bottom they just pop out like that. Usually much shorter eyelashes on the bottom. Now this part here, which I believe we call the pupil, let's just make it all black for starters. And there's, if you look up close in the mirror, you're going to see there's a whole bunch of just little lines that come in here. It's actually like an animal. You know, your eye it's a part of an animal, and this pupil part can expand and collapse. How does it do that? That's because there's a lot of like little muscles inside this area here. I'm not sure the actual medical terminology for it. And sometimes it'll be darker in the middle near here, or the colors can change. It might be darker on the outside. I've come to find it seems a bit more attractive when they're a bit darker around the edge, and then fade to a little lighter in the middle. So if you're to have absolutely no lighting at all, if your eyes were made out of I don't know, some strange material, or if your eyes are extremely dry, this is what the eye might start off looking like. You have kind of a ring around the inner area. I'll just make it with dots, and similarly around the outside area, you can get these kind of things. But now, why does that look unnatural? Because our eyes are watery. There's always water in your eyes to keep them glossy. I don't even know why. And so what I'm going to do is just go in there and erase some of this. Go in here with an eraser, make it a little bigger. And first of all, it's going to reflect light. You're always going to see some little, white dots around here. Could be one here, there could be one there. And a lot of people, you have like your magna artists, cartoonists and stuff, they just put like a dot here and a dot there. They do it like religiously the same every time. But what's even better than that is to actually put the eye, in your imagination. Where is this eye? Let's think of a real situation. So maybe this person is at school and they're looking out a window, right? And here's a window, there's another one. There's two windows right there. And then maybe there's some light reflecting off the bottom. That could be off a desk or something like that, and the light's very strong. So you have that. I just erased the areas where light should be, and now if you come back, what you see is if you go far off, it's a light. It's an eye that's staring into very bright light. It's almost a little too light. So I'm going to go back in here and show some areas where we'll just bring a little bit of the pupil back, and you can do something like that. It doesn't have to, just try and make it look a little natural. Why am I not getting... I don't have full opacity. No wonder. I knew something was wrong. It's nice to keep the pupil in there, even though the light will go over the pupil sometimes. Okay. Let me try that again. I exaggerated that one. But we can do it with, oh, that was on low opacity, which is fine. Actually, put that like that. Okay, that's not too bad. And so I want to do that again with a little bit more, not so exaggerated. Let's just say there's one window over here, and it might be going off into the horizon, and you could have things reflecting in here from as far away as over here. I'm turning the opacity down now so it doesn't completely blot out the eye, but kind of like that. So now you're getting a much more realistic eye. What I'm imagining here is like maybe there's one light, another light, and then there's some just more subtle light, not as strong. If it's a strong light, it's going to completely just white out that part of the eye. It'll give it a little gleam. And then if you have a weaker light, so I turn the opacity of the eraser down here, or you could even use like a white brush or whatever. Just turn the opacity down a little bit, and I'll just do that kind of effect there. Another thing, if you want to get a bit more realistic with this, is we can put another layer in here. Rarely do you find that anything in the world is actually 100% white, and so what you could do is have a layer of, we'll just call it plain old gray. Or it could be like shade or whatever you want to call it. For this particular time I just call it gray, and I'm actually going to use a gray color to go in here and just fill in this area. That's really going to help to bring out the highlights in just a moment. Actually, you know what? Let me just... I could have just made the whole background gray. It would have been just as good. What brush is this? I was not planning on that brush to be like that. Oh, the opacity isn't up. That might be... That's weird. It's making a weird... See how it's doing that? I don't have any dynamics on. Okay. Well, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Anyway. Let's get back to regular size. It is supposed to be a normal brush. Back to black. Regular opacity. And I can darken in some of these areas and leave out the areas that I want to be highlighted. So I'm pretty much dealing with like 3 tones of gray now. I can to make this really pop out these white areas, well, they're about to be white areas, I can go along the edge there. And I meant to go up to this layer. Let's see. Use some white. Yeah. So this is where there's highlights where, and like I said, turn the opacity down a little bit, even a little bit more. Maybe softer edge. Yeah. And I don't even know what this stuff is. Just maybe it's the beach. And now the eye is round, so it should curve up like that. Just covering all of these areas here. Okay. Whoops. Now we come back. You see we're getting more and more depth out of our eye. And I want to go into this gray area here. Actually just lighten it up a little bit. Leave some shade underneath. So you see it's not perfect white. Okay. And we don't need white in this area really. You can put a little bit to signify color. That'll do the trick. Let's go straight into the sketch layer now. I actually want to have a shade layer too. This is a bit excessive with the layers, but I like to do it this way sometimes. So if I make any mistakes or something I don't like, I can just go back and undo it. A better way to do this, see now if I put the opacity down on the brush, when it crosses itself, it gets all that extra like darkness coming in. But if you really just want to do something light, make the whole layer opacity down, and see now when I cross, it all stays the same shade. What I'm doing here is underneath the eyelashes there should be a little bit of shade, assuming you know the light is up there as it is, and also maybe around the corners here and the edges it'll come in a little, and definitely underneath the eyelid here just a little bit, depending on what kind of eye it is. And then up here the eyelid probably has a crease in it for if it's an eye as big as this one. It's usually the case. Just make a little representative shading up here. Doesn't have to be perfect. So now you see step by step by following all these, and this is knowledge. I'm drawing real sloppily right here. I'm just using the knowledge of making an eye to form an eye. This is, you know, I'm doing this very quickly, very sloppily. I'm not trying to, you know, use good lines. Now since I put that shading on a different layer, another great thing about this, see I can bring the shading down, make it more subtle, or we can turn it up a bit. That's obviously too much. Let me just play with it a little until we get it where we like it, where it would be a little bit more realistic. I kind of like that dynamic look. I also kind of like this. Okay. Might even be a wrinkle in here. goes down all the way. You can have a lot of people have lines underneath their eyes like this. Okay, and that's about that. Since it's a round ball, you might also have a little shading around here like so, getting that ball shape. It's a little exaggerated, but anyway. Remember, it should be a ball. Eye should be a ball. So we'll go up to actual sketch area here. This should be 100% black. It's actually too black. But I can go undo that. I want it to be smaller. Yeah, that's right. Okay. This is where I can put in the more detailed lines. Since it should be a ball, this retina and pupil area here should pretty much be in the center. So if it ends over here, then this should end about like over here. You have that part there. You look at eyes in the look at your eye in the mirror. Look at the Google Images, and just study all little different parts of the eye. If you happen to be at a library or something and look up medical books on the eye. That's about that. Half decent eye, half decent. Not too shabby. So you see what I was doing here is like I'm trying to get away from this thing that people do. Here's my eye, and even I'm not using any kind of smooth hand coordination here or anything. I'm just going like this. This is what most people do, and then I go like that. Like when we're young and we start drawing, that might be about the best of it. And you go like this, and then they start doing the eyelashes like that. And even that's not so bad, because there's worse. Like I don't know, a lot of people do this. They make the oval like that, and they put the eye in the middle, and then they go like this. And that's it's just not really all that realistic. And you can do that if you want to. I'm not against it. You can go like this and make a cartoon, and you can tell people it's not a cartoon. You can tell them it's totally realistic and your art is better than theirs. And I personally think that's great. But if you want to step it up a notch and try a different way, maybe this way is kind of interesting too. I'm not against any of these other ways. I just thought that's a little bit more interesting to actually analyze the way things look in real life here. Definitely need a line up here. And with this, I'm really bad on this tablet thing. Like on a piece of paper, I'm used to it, but because you can't see where you're going, I use this smooth stroke sometimes, and this in the GIMP. I guess on Photoshop they have it too, and that helps to smooth out your line while you're drawing it instead of getting all crazy. But even still, I have to do a little bit at a time. I can't even see where I'm going. Yeah. Little details like that help sometimes. Alright, I'll just leave it right here. This video is getting kind of long. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day.